What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast with myself, Luke, and we're joined by Dave and Wes this week. Dave, how's life going for you, mate?
All good, mate. All good. I took my daughter to Tyrannosaurus, the Jurassic World exhibition today, and terrified her with a T-Rex. It was great.
Amazing. Back down to earth after the Europa League win.
Mate, I'm sober now. That's the main thing.
That's all we can ask for, isn't it? Wes, how are you, mate?
I am very much still on cloud nine from being a European champion. So evening to all my fellow European champions who are watching. Nice of Dave to take his daughter to see Jordan Pickford today as well. So yeah, no, all good. Like I say, still on the high from obviously a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I think obviously coming off the back of the Brighton game as well, where no one really cared about football. It was quite nice that to go to a game, the football be irrelevant and still have a good atmosphere, to be fair. So yeah, no, all good. Ready for this one, that's for sure.
Yep, European champions. That's something Arsenal can't sing, but you know.
Yeah.
Where
exactly,
is Johnny?
Just your dad said, evening European champions.
Evening all. Evening all.
Before we get into today's show, I just want to give a shout out to Emily from Pud and Ink. If you're on TikTok, go and check her out because she sent me this really cool print of these photos, paintings that she does. So we're not affiliated in any way with her, but I just thought I'd give her a shout out because she sent it to me.
We are now.
We are now. Where's
now.
mine, Emily? Where's mine?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just head over to Pud and Ink on TikTok. That's PUD and INK, and you can check out her cool mini photos that she does. Anyway, that was kind of a bit of shameless plugging for random people. If anyone who wants to be shamelessly plugged for nothing and give us nothing in return, then feel free to drop me.
Well, you got something in return. You got a little print. More than I got.
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't do it for the prints. Just so it helps that she sent it to me. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk quickly. Actually, do you know what? We're going to go to Jay because Jay always jumps on real early and asks us questions. It's not really part of the show, but I'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. He said, would you rather Tottenham sign Matthias Tell permanently for Spurs or Spurs to sign Leroy Sané? I'm really unsure, but think it would be really interesting signing. But then Tell is younger, could have the potential. So this is a simple question of Tell or Sané. Who are we going for and why? Wes, I know your answer, so I'll come to you first. Who are you going for?
Tell. I know you're going for Sane, Luke, because you hate Matthias Tell. But yeah, I'm going for Matthias Tell. I don't think Sane is achievable for Spurs. If put it this way, he's reportedly, if we believe everything we read, rejected a 250 grand a week contract at Bayern Munich. So if he's not going to accept a contract at 250 grand a week at Bayern Munich, chances are he's not going to. Exactly. So, he's not really. We can't compete with that financially. Really, we've got a wage structure in place, obviously at Tottenham, and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't see Leroy Sané coming to Spurs. I think he would have to take probably a pay cut anyway. Even if he's on probably 200 grand a week, which you'd like to think he probably is at Bayern Munich. I just can't see it happening. I also think he's still a class winger and will be a fantastic option for a club to have. I just don't think we are also the right club for him. If we get the Leroy Sané that was at Man City, then yeah, you say twice again on Sundays and all of that. He's not necessarily that same player anymore, and I think injuries have caught up with him slightly. And I think if you look at the dynamic of the Bayern Munich front three now, with what Elise, Musiala, etc., I think they're phasing him out at a good time. Obviously they did want Florian Wirtz. It looks like he's off to Liverpool. So yeah, there'll be space for Bayern to sign a winger. But yeah, for me, Matthias Tell, never fall in love with a lone player, they say. But listen, I've fallen in love with Matthias Tell. What can I say? He just gets it as a lad that's been on loan at Spurs, and yeah, he just gets it, like I say, in terms of what it means to play for the club, and I think that's rare in general these days, but I think especially for a lone player as well.
fair enough. He gets it. He just doesn't get the ball in the back of the net. But anyway, Dave,
Mate, I'd struggle with that level of service that he was getting given.
yeah, fair. Dave, who you go for?
Both.
Okay,
Both.
fair enough.
We want to be ambitious. So realistically, we get Champions League football. Dip into them pockets, Mr. Short Arms, and get us both. Why not? You want to compete? You want to compete with the elite? Man City would sign both.
Yeah, fair enough.
You want to compete with them teams? You sign both. But if I had to sign one, I'd sign Tell.
My honest opinion is turning away from how much I dislike Matthias Tell. I don't actually. I think it's all been blown a bit out of proportion.
It definitely hasn't. We've got receipts. We've got receipts.
I just don't think he's good enough. I just don't think, currently, at this moment in time, he's had 6 months, right? 6 months on loan.
Yeah.
He's done no more than Timo Werner's done in 6
months. Let's be honest
here,
right?
He definitely has.
He's a youngster.
How many goals?
Hang on. He's a youngster in a new league.
Same amount as Matthias Tell.
He's a youngster in a new league at a new team. 6 months on loan. You just don't like him because you thought he said no to us first. That's the only reason.
Do you know what? He throws his arms around as much as Højbjerg did, to be fair.
Well, I'm not even going there.
That's all he's ever good at, is, sticking up for the club and throwing his arms around.
Matthias Tell has impacted more games in his loan spell than Timo Werner in 18 months. He's also impacted more games than Richarlison, barring the Europa League final. Because I thought Richie was brilliant then. And I also think he's impacted more games than Heung-min Son this season.
I think it speaks for itself, though, in my eyes. He didn't even get on the pitch in the Europa League final. Ange went for Richarlison and Heung-min Son over him. If he was to come to Spurs, how long is he going to get to, really bed himself in? In reality, if Son stays, I think if you get Leroy Sané, he plays over Son and Tell. I think if Tell comes in, Son plays over Tell. I think it's just what I want at this moment in time. And Tell could turn into an unbelievable football. He could do, right?
He will.
You never know. 19 years old, he could do. My worry is that in the 6 months I've seen him, personally, I haven't seen enough that warrants the money you spend.
I think you need to see him up close, mate, at a game. That's where you see the difference. When you watch him live and you watch his movement and you watch how he makes the runs off the ball, it's the difference between him and other wingers at our club is ridiculous. His movement off the ball is unbelievable. And when you don't actually get to see that on the TV, but when you're at the stadium and you're watching him live, his movement's great. I think he's got so much potential. I really do. I literally believe he could be incredible. For me, I think it's just one of them ones that if history, you look back at history, how bad was Gareth Bale first at Tottenham?
Yeah, but
at the same age as Matthias Tell, by the way.
Yeah, but my worry for Tell is that when you see him, trying to drive past players, I was expecting to see him blitz past people. I was expecting, him to be able to cut inside. The amount of, for my worry is the amount of time one-on-one with the right back. Sorry, the amount of times he's been intercepted, he's lost the ball. For me personally, I just, maybe that's what I'm looking for, and that's, I'm open to watching it, right? But I just think for 50 million, let's say we put that tag on it, 50 million. If you say we can't afford, the wages for Leroy Sané, which we probably can't, right? 150k is probably tops to what we would pay someone like that coming in. You could potentially stretch 200, but it would be unrealistic.
Matthias Tell got glowing reviews from Harry Kane as well.
But I also think if you're saying 50 million, put it this way, we spent that on Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
Who granted, yes, and we've been through this. He is the biggest stat pad that has graced the Premier League this season, because Dave will know and Dave, feel free to back me up on this. When you watch Brennan Johnson live at a game,
he's bloody awful.
Dreadful.
He is awful.
But people go, and we had this the last time I was on, but he scored X amount of goals. Yeah, but football,
Brennan Johnson is a fullback's best mate. He's that close to him.
We could talk about that and go, oh, well, Manchester United played the better football in the Europa League final, so they deserve to win the final.
But they didn't play the better football because they were fucking dreadful. Right? I've played in like Sunday League
Sunday
teams,
League
whatever,
games.
that play better football than Man United. I've played in recreational games, and we've played better football than Man United. Man United has
I show
no
you
clue.
Shisha. That comment is spot on.
So he said, if top pros say the next big thing, how are we qualified to know better? But do you know who is qualified to know better? David Clark, who has said, unlike Bale, Tell didn't start the first 25 games at left back. So, fellas, give your head a swivel.
And another quote from I show you Shisha answering that.
Age-old
Last season,
debate.
we're begging for Tell.
Look, I think Spurs need to definitely, upgrade in that left-hand side department. Just who we go for is, up for debate. I could agree with you.
You'd prefer Richarlison, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
One good game in about 3-4 years he's been with Spurs, and yet he deserves to stay. Do me a favour.
It's all right. Perfect cross for some goals this season as well. So we'll just. I'm sure he was involved in the build-up to the first goal against Bodo Glimt in the semi-final as well. But anyway, do you know what? We'll brush that over. He did his 45 minutes, then he came off, and we ended up in a Europa League final. Brennan Johnson, though, I'm not taking any more slander on Brennan Johnson, otherwise I'm leaving this show because.
Mate, if you watched him against Brighton, the geezer was still hungover, mate. How he's played 90 minutes, I got no
Brennan
idea.
Johnson, right?
He doesn't. I agree with that. He does absolutely nothing as a winger. Can't take a man on, can't cross, but I tell you what he can do, stick the ball in the back of the net. And I don't care.
He is a fullback's best mate. He's that close to their pocket. He follows them around the pitch. It's the weirdest thing ever. Like, he just follows the fullback. I'm like, get on the touchline. Like, make a run off the ball or something. But, it is what it is. We spent 50 million on him. So if you're telling me we're going to drop 45 on Tell, yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on. Let's talk about the big man. We're not even got to the actual premise of the show, which is the end of season awards. Let's talk about the kind of rumours floating around today that there's a potential, which is always a potential, but unreliable sources have claimed that Spurs are likely to sack Ange Postecoglou. Thomas Frank is the number one person lined up, but you know what happens with all of these things. Here we fucking go again, basically. I want to kind of go around because throughout the season, this season, and I suppose it does tie into a season review, because throughout the season, you guys have been, different sort of opinion on Ange throughout the season. He's come, he's gone, like lots of fans have. But it's weird at the moment because lots of fans have, kind of grown to say, do you know what? He does deserve another season. Whereas, where do you sit in terms of that? And if that is the decision, what do you make of it?
It's a really strange one because there is such a valid argument for both sides of the coin here. Because on the one hand, you can't ignore the league form, 22 league defeats, not even hit 40 points, etc., and all of that. The other side is he is the first man to give us a trophy in 17 years, the first man to give us a European trophy in 41 years. So you can't ignore that either, because that's the side, that was kind of the thing that the majority of the fan base were craving, was that winning feeling of a trophy. The more I see things and I see videos and clips and everything else, the more I grow to sort of like Ange and kind of want it to kind of work out for him. And I'm a bit like, well, we get rid of Ange, what options do we have, like, realistically, for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club? Yes, we've just won the Europa League, and that might tempt a few bigger names, shall we say, in the door if we are to sack Ange. But realistically, are they any better than what we already have? Not really. Thomas Frank, I can't get behind. I'm sorry, I can't get behind it. Everybody goes, yeah, but look at the work he's done at Brentford and all of this. It doesn't overly impress me. I don't think he'll attract players, and I don't think he's got that. I don't really want to say aura, but like, you listen to the players and the way they talk about Ange, they love him to pieces. They're coming out of team meetings wanting to run through a brick wall for Ange. I know the league form has been abysmal, and every football fan can say that. You don't have to be a Spurs fan or a flipping football expert to say that the league form's been atrocious, but yeah, something doesn't feel right. It feels like there's this inevitability that Ange will go. I'm a bit like, okay, do we end up like United this year, like next season, in the sense of,
Yeah.
Ten Hag's job was on the line. He lifted a trophy. Right, let's give him 250 or however much million to spend. It then doesn't go well, and then in October we sack him. I don't think we can do that because I think our managerial options will be even thinner. It's just clarity that we need. And I think if we were to sack Ange or whatever, it should have probably been done by now, and it should have been done beforehand. I know Levy's gone on holiday, Ange has gone on holiday, but like you have a discussion potentially, say, after the final.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Van Gaal was sacked after winning the FA Cup for United. We sacked Martin Jol at half time. Like, so don't tell me these types of conversations weren't,
You know
were
what?
or don't happen.
If he is getting sacked, right, at the trophy parade, why isn't he able? Do you know what I mean? Why isn't it done before that? And he says, "Do you know what?
Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah,
everything. Like,
yeah,
I won't be. It can be amicable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I won't be here next season. Like,
yeah. I think
we've
I
done
think
what we agreed.
Ange is within himself and his persona. I think he's too proud to walk away. I mean,
Mm.
he shouldn't realistically because he doesn't really need to. He's confident in the work that he's doing and what he's produced. He's openly come out and said yes, it wasn't quite where we thought we'd be at this stage, and that's okay. But I don't think, put it this way, I don't think the club were prepared for the massive drop off this year. I think the club and those at the top of the club were hoping, right, fifth place finish last year, let's build on it, let's compete for Champions League. And I saw a comment that somebody put out earlier on Twitter, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant. I think it made perfect sense. The thing is, if Ange finished fifth, but we didn't win a trophy, he'd have still kept his job.
Can I just touch upon that point you made, Wes, about they didn't see the drop off. As fans, we knew it was coming. As fans, we've been screaming from the hilltops for ages that there's going to be a huge drop because of the players going out, the instability of the club. We knew it was coming. What Ange, and I was at points in the season, Ange out. I'm Ange in now. He should stay. He's won us a trophy. But as fans, we all said, when you look back to Conte and then Stellini and even Mourinho, we were all saying something's going to go wrong here. This instability of the club is going to bite Levy in the arse. The way he's running the club is going to bite him in the arse, and it's going to come back. Ange Postecoglou has had to deal with that instability. He's had to deal with that huge drop off, yet he still won us a European trophy.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, there is no way in hell that you sack that manager, because after reflection and looking back on the season, it is clear that Christmas came after all the injuries and Ange went, do you know what? Fuck the league. My eggs are in winning us a cup. That's what I'm here to do. That's my job. And you could see that by the substitutions he made in games, the performances of the team during those Premier League games in contrast to the European games, and the effort that the players put in. It was more of a case of that it was a rallying call to the players to say, forget the league. We can't really do nothing in that now. We're supposed to get Champions League football. How do we achieve that? We can't get in the league. We go and win the European Cup. That's exactly what he's done. So in my opinion, you back the man and you say, yeah, fair enough. The instability is the board's fault. It's the club's fault. It's not Ange's fault. He's just been bought into a club which is on a decline. The players are on a decline. Lack of investment, bringing in the wrong type of player, etc. You have to now, after he has gone through all of that, give him the opportunity to go into next season and see if he can improve on that. Give him a transfer window. Give him the budget to spend money on the players he wants. Back the man. If it doesn't work out, at least Daniel Levy can turn around and say, well, I did what you all wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite work, but he did get us a trophy, so thank you very much. But I personally believe that it will work out. I believe that the instability of the club is over. I think keeping Romero is key next season. I think losing him this summer is going to be horrific if we do. But if we keep Romero and he is able to build on that and get us into a stable position again, it's like I said before, that winning feeling, those players, we're going to want that again. They clearly love Ange. He's gotten to we won a European trophy. Give him a chance to prove he can do it in the league as well.
I also think Levy deep down realistically wants to sack him because of the league form, but he feels like he can't because A, he's won us the Europa League, but B, the players absolutely love him, and I think that's why Levy's so torn, because I think he genuinely wants to, but he feels like he can't, because if he goes against the players, he's gone. He's knackered.
It's a really weird position for Daniel Levy because, like, especially with how the fans are at the moment and how much they have still been against Levy, like to then go and sack a manager who people seem to now be back on board with after winning the Europa League would then just put him again in a bad like the fans. It's not like it would be like a fan favorite decision to sack Ange. Do you know what I mean? What I don't understand, this is probably why he's torn at the moment, is I don't believe they were happy with Ange's decision to sack the league off. I don't think they believed he would win it.
No.
And then he goes and wins it, and they're fucked then because the plan was probably all along to say, he doesn't win it and they sack him, and then he goes and wins it, and they're already fuming the fact he gave in the league. But at the end of the day, his decision was to win something at this football club, and he stood there and said he was going to win something, and he did. You can't then turn around. You can't, when someone puts their money where their mouth is and actually does what they say, you can't just turn around and then just sack them. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Like I've always said all along that financially, it would make more sense probably to Levy to just hang on to him. Doesn't have to pay him off. Like, he'll go. He's at the end of his contract then anyway. They could just part ways at that point. To me, it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. Like, I don't think this whole like bullshit about but next season we could be fighting relegation. Like, it doesn't happen like that. Like, in my eyes, this is an anomaly season. Like, I would be extremely shocked if we were in a similar league position next season. I don't think Ange is happy with it. I don't think he would stand for it again. And I don't think we'll have an injury crisis like we had this season. So to turn around and say, we'll be fighting relegation next season, or, if the other teams weren't as bad, we'd have been relegated, like, it wouldn't have got to that point because the board would have made a decision early. Do you know what I mean? Like, earlier, they'd have had to change priorities. Like, I think that's just really, really kind of like lazy way of looking at it. I just think it would be. I don't know what I'd do. I think I would fall out of love with this football club if they sacked him, because I just don't see the point anymore. Like I don't see the point in any of it if all you do is you get somebody, as you say, the first manager in 41 years to win a European trophy, third manager ever to do it, and you just go and sack him. Like, what's the point in the game anymore?
But I genuinely think as well, if we as fans, right, after the Europa League final, if we, or in the, like Dave said earlier, like the next day or whatever, if we found out that Ange was going, I think everybody would have been like, listen, okay, fair enough, like fair play. He's come in, done what he's had to do. We shake hands and we depart type thing. But it's more of the fact of like shit's dragging on now. Like, there should be plans in place already for the summer transfer window. That work should have probably already been done. But now there's this like air of uncertainty. It's like, right, well, there's a mini transfer window that opened today. Like, are we going to be active in this, 10 days or whatever? Who knows? If we've got the manager already sorted and, that situation's all cleared up, we might potentially get one through the door in this 10 days. And then it reopens again, I think, later on in the month. But yeah, it's just this whole level of uncertainty, but it's been brought on by one man and one man only, and he needs to sort himself out.
COYS, Daniel.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's move on and let's start our end of season awards. So what we'll do is we'll go through some categories. We do want everyone that's watching to answer with their favourite as well to the answer to the categories, and we'll kind of go through our favorite like moments or favorite players of the season, and we'll see if we all kind of come up with same or similar answers, or maybe they'll all be different. So the first award is going to go for player of the season. I know it's difficult, Dave, because we did win a European trophy, but the league form was atrocious. Who are you going to go for?
Mickey van der Ven. Just for that goal line clearance, mate.
Fair enough. Injured for most of the season.
Spent half the season injured, to be fair. But when he played, he's a catalyst to everything we do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So for me, Van der Ven.
Wesley?
Can someone just play ABBA for the moment? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Dejan Kulusevski for me. I think if you look at the season as a whole, I think he was probably one of our most consistent performers. Like, even when we were having sticky spells within games, he was the one that was trying to drag the team through and try and get something out of a game.
Sorry, Wes, can I just interrupt you really quickly? Because I've seen Johnny's here, and I just want to say, well done on your end of season parade that you beat Real Madrid twice. How was your European trophy, mate? Was it decent? Because ours was lovely.
Listen, they also beat PSG. They beat the European champions. Yeah, all right. But yeah, sorry. Back to it. Yeah, for me, Dejan Kulusevski, player of the year. Been brilliant. Been brilliant.
I'm going to send everyone wild here, but I'm going to go Brennan Johnson. I think you have to look at goals.
Oh,
you have to look at goals in key moments. You have to look at goals in total. You have to look at goals that matter.
Being honest, though, mate, I could score the goals that he scored.
Mate, look, I don't disagree that you could score those goals. My point is, right, he scores the winner in the Europa League final, however that goes in. You know, he scored crucial goals in crucial games. You know, first goal within seconds against Bodo Glimt. You know, he's our top goal scorer in all competitions. Like, you can't ask for more of a player. Like,
to beat an opponent as a wide player, which is a very basic,
fundamental key part of being a wide player
attribute. I would love to see Brennan Johnson do it.
Where would we have been this season?
17th.
Exactly.
Yes,
17th.
No
17th. Listen, Brennan Johnson is a player that you need to watch with your eyes. He has all the attributes to be Aaron Lennon, and he turns out to be the Welsh Theo Walcott. I've said it. There you go.
Looks like Blazinakin is a fanboy because if Luke is right.
Luke, you're the type of person, right, that goes when there's like trophy talks. You're the type of guy that will go, yeah, John O'Shea's won multiple Premier Leagues.
No, do you know what I mean? He's the type of person that will look outside when it's snowing and be like, no, it's sleet. That's Luke.
it's like, mate, John O'Shea, Eric Jemba and Kleberson have all won the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? They must be great. Definitely that guy. Definitely that guy. Look, he can't even answer it.
I'm just reading through some of these comments. I'm just trying. It's hard to read them all and not pin them up just in case anyone sort of said anything incredibly offensive in the chat. Right, that's fine. So we've had Dejan Kulusevski, Mickey van der Ven, and
Has
BJ
David Clark voted for James Maddison yet? I'm just throwing that one out
there. To be fair on James Maddison, he hasn't performed in a lot of areas this season, but as much as he's one of my ones I don't really like that much at times because his inconsistencies, but in certain games, especially in Europe, he has been stepping. Well, he did step up when it mattered before he got injured. So
what's he got, 12 goals, 10 assists or something, hasn't he, this season?
Yeah,
that's decent.
He did all right. Right, here we go next. Flop of the season. Who's the player who you expected more from and did not perform?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Brennan Johnson.
Yay! Straight in.
In fact, at £50 million, I expected. Well, yes, he got us that clutch goal and he won us the European Cup. But that aside, it has been like watching a dog chasing his tail all season. It's like he's pen pals with a fullback. He's in his pocket all game. Doesn't create enough space. So for me, he needs to do a lot more next season to be classed as a £50 million player. You're sitting there saying, I can't believe we're going to spend this on Tell. I would pay double for Tell if it meant Brennan Johnson. If we paid that for Brennan.
Okay, fair enough. Wes?
I'm gonna go. This may sound controversial, but I'm here for it. Might get some views and some clicks. Heung-min Son.
You're not meant to say, by the way. On something that's going to get clicks and views. I don't think you say this should get clicks or views, or we'll have to edit that out in the edit at the end.
Right, try again. Wes, who's your flop of the season?
Heung-min Son.
Yeah, that was going to be mine as well.
Yeah, especially I think Son's also had the issue of, and it's an indirect issue, Mo Salah. Mo Salah is the same age as Heung-min Son, and yet has almost transformed his game and gone on to another level. Son has showed his age big time this season, and especially at the time and the state that we were in, we were looking for him as a senior player to really step up and take that mantle. For me, this is probably the only time that I can make a strong case to say Son went missing and Son went hiding. Usually he was that player to step up, but I think now he's got that added responsibility. I think he's folded like a pack of cards this year, and he was absolutely awful. So yeah, and I've said it all season. For me, this summer, he got to go. He got to go. So Sonny, start learning Saudi, big man, because you need to get that bag.
And that's fair enough. We've got some shouts here. So we've got Blazenkin said Forster, he cost us in games and we had to go and buy a proper backup keeper.
Mate, what about that Power League save against United in the Carabao Cup? That was unreal.
I Show You Shisha said Gray expected more from the defender. Oh, wait, he isn't one. Who else are we looking at? That's about it so far. So I'm going to go for...
Johnny, I know you're talking about the big boys table, mate, but if you go in that glorious trophy cabinet you've got, could you tell me how many European trophies Arsenal have? Because we've got 3, mate. And I don't want to hear about the Intercity Fairs Cup or some nonsense like that, mate. I want about proper European trophies. Then come back and talk to us. We've been at the big boys table because we've won it. Whereas you boys can't get past the semi. You need
Hey!
So, right, I'm going for Radi Dragashin. I think that, as a player who's coming to be a, backup contender to be a first team, player, someone whose agent, bigs them up so highly that everybody wants them. But when it really mattered and when we didn't have, our first 2 choice centre backs, I don't think he showed enough to be able to, cement himself a place even when the others were back fit. I think, he gets sent off early days in the first European game, puts us right in the mud already. I just think, his kind of footballing brain didn't get switched on at the times that it should have done. When it really mattered, he wasn't it for us, and so
his agent's too busy talking as well.
Losing and wouldn't make a mistake, huh?
His agent is too busy yapping as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just quickly, I don't include the Cup Winners' Cup. For me, that's a nonsense cup.
Oh, fair enough. Right, so that kind of goes through that. We've had Heung-min Son, Brennan Johnson, and Radi Dragashin as our flops of the season. But I'm going to go interesting one next, which is signing of the season. Who's everybody's top signing this season? Now, there's been kind of a certain player that lots of people have talked about this season, but may not be everybody's, everybody's signing of the season. So I'll give you all a couple of seconds
I'm ready.
Think. This is not the one I wanted to bring up. Martin has said it's definitely not been Son's best season. Do you see him as a captain? I've seen him more animated from the sidelines.
The kids love him.
He's a good captain.
Not really.
So.
He's just one of
the. I always think captains should be like defenders or someone like that because they
midfielders. Set midfielders, mate. Can see everything.
I'm not really that bothered. Like realistically, there should be 11 captains out on the pitch. To be fair, I think Romero in the Europa League final probably showed attributes to be a captain, and that makeup and that kind of listen, I'm here to win at all costs type of attitude and mentality. And I think that's
under Harry Maguire's skin,
mate. Absolutely rattled Harry Maguire, and I was here for it as well.
At the end, mate. After the final whistle, he walked up behind him. I was cracking up.
So yeah, I'm not one of these like, it has to be like a certain position in terms of your captain. I think Son's probably one of those. He isn't a shouter and screamer. He's like leads by example type of thing. Obviously, there are different types of captains and everything else. So I just don't think he's what we need anymore, Sonny. So yeah, I'd be looking to get rid in the summer because I think now is the time to do it whilst we can still get a decent fee, else we're going to flog him to death and he'll end up walking out on a free.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
His story's a mad one, though, man. Like Son's. When you think about it, he came to obviously England from was it Hamburg or one of the German teams or something like that.
Leverkusen, wasn't it?
I don't know who it was, but he came from a German team. But he couldn't speak English. After a year, he was desperate to leave. He wanted to leave Tottenham because he couldn't speak English. And I think it's actually Daniel Levy that stopped and was like, no, we want to keep you. Like, he's just an all-round nice guy, isn't he? And now he's finally got his hands on the trophy a year after Harry Kane leaves. So, fuck you, Harry.
He's in the academy, I think, at Hamburg, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I got really distracted then because in a group chat I'm in, someone was just saying Ange has been sacked. So I was quickly trying to like go through it, and I was like, "Where have you heard this from?" And they were like, "Oh, rumors." And I was like, "Oh, thanks for that. That's like nothing that we needed to hear." I was thinking, "Here we go, breaking news on the podcast," but no. Right. So signing of the season, Dave. Who are you going for?
Solanke.
Naughty.
The reason why is like it doesn't look that great in goals, but when you look at, in my opinion, he's one of the players that won us the European trophy. His hold-up play, bringing other players into the game. I think without him, we don't get to that final. We don't win it. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think for Brennan Johnson, he got the goal, but when you look at the European Cup throughout the way through, his general hold-up play, look at him in the Bodo Glimt game, etc. You know, the way he brought other players into play. Without him, we don't win that.
Yeah, that's a good shout actually, because the way we played and the way that how we ended up kind of changing our style of play in European football was crucial to him, and with his hold up play and flick ons and everything else. I think you're right. He scored that penalty in crucial moments. Against Frankfurt. Yeah, I don't disagree. I like it. Wes?
Odegaard.
No, it was close though, because I do think genuinely he has probably been one of our most effective forward players this season when he has played Wilson Odegaard. I'm going to go with Kevin Danso, purely because came in at a really purely came in at a really difficult time in the way that the club and the position that we were in, and I don't think he's put a foot wrong, to be honest. And what I love about Kev is you can tell he genuinely wants to play for Spurs and he wants to do well at Tottenham. And that is just something that I don't think should go unnoticed. Like, obviously, after we won the Europa League final, I messaged his brother, saying, "Hello, my fellow European champion." He was like, "Wes, I fucking love this club." So, do you know what I mean? If that's coming from the family, you can imagine what it's doing for him. Obviously, he needs to work on his dance moves a little bit. He's, you know what I mean, with them hips. You know what I'm saying, Kev? Like, sort it out, big man. But yeah, I think for me, just the way he's come in, taken to the Premier League like a duck to water, because he'd been in the Bundesliga, he'd been in Liga, notoriously slower leagues, everything else. And what I also like is he's come back to the Prem after a really difficult loan spell at Southampton. And you would think like, oh, that might have maybe put him off coming and playing in English football, but he's just enjoyed it and he's absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Super Kev, and I think if anybody watches the games that he's played, and yeah, I just think he's just been an absolutely solid addition. And the best bit for me is he is here to stay.
Yeah, exactly.
How much did he pay you for all that plug?
Nothing, mate. Honestly, nothing.
No, I do love Kev.
I was going to go for Lucas Bergvall, but I thought it was too easy and too obvious. So I actually also went for Kevin Danso. I think he's one of those players and I've absolutely no idea why, but I just really like him. And there's certain players that do that to me, and genuinely I really like. But when he came on, for example, in the 75 minutes in the Europa League final, he isn't the most I don't want to use the word stylish, right? But when you talk of a player and you think, right, we need someone to come on like an impact player, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, big Kev. But like he came on, he had to do a job, and probably one of the hardest jobs at that point, which is defend the lead. And he's come on and said, look, you're going to play the back three. I need you need to be switched on, focused. Like you need to keep the line, or whatever else is happening in the middle of a final to come on and to probably not put a foot wrong. I thought was absolutely brilliant. And when he's been called upon, like unlike Dragashin, when he's been called upon, at that crucial time when we needed him, he stepped up. And it wasn't easy to to play in that back four, play alongside Gray, for example, or whoever else he's had to play alongside. At random times he's gone on left side, right side. I thought he's been brilliant, and I have no issues with with us signing him on a long-term deal, which obviously was part of the obligation. So I've also gone for Kevin Danso. But shout out Dominic Solanke, 16 goals and 8 assists in competitions is decent. For a first season with Spurs, so he could get a shout as well. There's a few players, but yeah, someone's just said Danso's only 24.
He's not. I promise you.
How old is he?
What, 26, 27?
Why are people lying to us?
I don't know, but he's a little bit older than that. So yeah, he comes obviously with really good pedigree, good international experience as well to add to the ranks in terms of what we've got. Yeah, I would. I'm buzzing that we've got Kev in. Obviously, it helps that he's from my hometown as well. So yeah, my Twitter page might need to get a new handle, I think.
It's going to get longer and longer by the day.
Yeah.
Jay has said Danso is a solid signing for us. Glad we made him permanent. He will just be a great backup if Romero van der Ven get injured. Bergvall is another good shout. Right, let's go on to the next one, which is the hardest one of the night. So I'll give you all a couple of seconds to think about it. But it's goal of the season. What is your favourite goal this season? Doesn't necessarily have to be a screamer. Doesn't necessarily have to be the most perfect goal you've ever seen.
Luke's getting that in there because we know what it is.
Yeah.
Goal of this season. No, do you know what? I'm trying to remember. I can picture the goal in my mind. I'm just trying to remember who it's against. So have a little think, and in the chat, let us know your favourite goal of the season as well. Has anyone got theirs?
Yeah, I've got mine. I'll go.
Yeah, you go first.
I want to say it's a team goal, but it's the one against RZ where the build up for literally. I think it started with Romero, go to the goalkeeper, all the way around through the lines, and I believe it was my mate Wilson Odobert that finished it off. So yeah, that one sprung to mind. Also, shout out to Brennan Johnson, but not for that goal. But for another one against Man United, when Mickey van der Ven decided to have a little wander around Manchester, that was a really good goal. Just for the fact that Mickey decided to go on a wander and end up in where is it, Printworks or Northern Quarter in Manchester, and then come back and set up Brennan for his goal. So I'll go, but I think the RZ goal just for the sheer fact of the phase of play, etc. So yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. I'm going to agree as well. That's the only one I can think of, to be honest. There haven't been that many. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think that's probably probably up there as the kind of the goal. Yeah, the other one I was thinking of potentially was any of the three youngsters. I think against Hoffenheim, wasn't it? In the Europa League, so that could be up there. I mean, there's I was going to go for the Europa League winning goal, which I don't care what David Clark says. Stats suggest that it was Brennan Johnson's goal. You can claim it's an own goal to Luke Shaw. I'm going with my mate PJ. He's getting that goal, and that was going to be my one. But the RZ ones, that was the one I was thinking of, whereas I couldn't remember actually who it was against. I can picture the goal. It's played out from the left-hand side into Madison. He does a little fake, off he goes.
Yeah.
And then it's played out wide again. It was a brilliant team goal, and kind of was the essence of what Ange wants in his team. So after that, that's when we changed altogether, wasn't it? And went a lot more of a solid defensive unit. But that was a brilliant goal. Right, let's move on to the next one. which is the most underrated player this season. So, a player who you don't think gets the plaudits that they deserve. Someone that maybe people are slating, when in actual fact they should be praising. Let's see what people say in the chat. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Jay has said Porro's goal against Bodo Glimt was class. It looked like a cross. Probably was. Dave said before, Sarr's goal that was disallowed against Chelsea. We talked about that before the stream. That could be up there. Lots of decent moments. I think Sarr scored a decent goal against City as well, didn't he, in the cup?
Yeah, that was a good finish, actually. That was a good finish.
Yeah, I only remember that from highlights. I was at a gig that night, but I remember it was definitely a decent.
Werner's goal in the cup game, I think, against City as well, was a fairly decent finish, considering it was Timo Werner and he was through on goal. I'm just trying to think underrated player of the season, to be fair.
Ethan Holly. If you just tuned in, we're on underrated player of the season. So let us know in the chat.
I'm gonna go with my mate Wilson Odobert. Underrated player of the year. I think, and I mentioned it earlier, probably one of our most effective forward players this season. And I think people were a little bit like, "Oh, what have we got?" He obviously had that brilliant game against Everton earlier on in the season, who were terrible, by the way. Also, speaking of goals, Basuma's one against Everton earlier on in the season was also a bit of a rocket. I also think, like, when he come back from injury and had a little bit of a run in the team, people started to, go, "Oh, this is what he's about." But I still don't think he gets the recognition and those plaudits that he probably deserves, because the ability to be comfortable to go both ways from wide areas is very rare these days. And I think he does it very, very well, and probably the best one at it within the club.
Yeah, it's. I don't dislike Odobert, right? It's just I think he's had a difficult season. Injuries haven't helped anybody this season. He hasn't really had a run in enough games for me to kind of get a feel for him. He has scored crucial goals. Let's talk about European goals. He scored crucial goals that meant a lot this season. So I'm not going to say he's not, a good player. I want to see more from him. But like Holly said, she said, I like Odobert, good shout. She hasn't got an absolute Scooby about underrated. Dave, have you got one?
I got two, actually. Big Dom Solanke.
Yeah.
I think he's underrated. But my obscure one is Antonin Kinski.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
He came in, was unbelievable. Everyone remembers that League Cup against Liverpool. We won 1-0. How good was he in that? I believe he's Spurs' future number one, without a shadow of a doubt. So for me,
I think by the end of next season, he could be giving Vicario a run for his money.
Hey, I like Vic, but Vic shouldn't have got back in that team the way Kinski was playing.
No. We put it this way: we cannot play Vicario against PSG.
Nope.
Did you see the way PSG were going to press?
Yep.
By the way, mate, can't have Vicario against that front line of PSG. Have to have Kinski.
Far too long on the ball, doesn't he?
No, but he's better. He's better with the ball at his feet, and I think his decision making is better with the ball at his feet than Vicario. I think Vicario is too rash.
I think for me, he's
too erratic.
He's kind of gone under the radar a little bit because Vic came back and it's all been Vic. But when he first come in, for a kid that young to come from, was it Czech Republic or something like that he came from?
Yeah.
To then come straight in and do what he did and perform the way he performed, he was outstanding. And like I said, for me, he's Spurs' future number one. I think he replaces Vic within the next season or two.
Yeah. I think he's just the way he is with his feet is unbelievable. He's so much better under pressure than Vicario. He's better at playing out from the back with his feet, and that was actually one of the reasons why I think we started up on Vicario, wasn't it? Because of his ability to play out with his feet. But actually, he seems to be a better shot stopper, which is weird. But no, it's definitely a good shout. Interesting. We've got some shouts here. Bentancur He was great towards the end of Europa League. You could also potentially give Yves Bissouma, again, the last few games in that Europa League run, I thought he was crucial to that. You could also go Brennan Johnson, massively underrated by some people this season.
Who? I'd love to meet them.
You?
No, I don't think he's underrated. I think he's shit.
Underrated.
That's a compliment to shit, mate. That is
literally.
Which is why he's underrated. But I'm probably going to go with Dominic Solanke. I think that he hasn't done a lot of the pretty things this season. In terms of glamorous goals, screamers. But what he has done, his involvement in a lot of goals, however you want to stat pad that goal involvement.
I thought stats only applied to Brennan Johnson, by the way.
I haven't actually seen like goal involvement stats or whatever, but I mean, even if they were shit, then the involvements were still good. Because it could be like a pre-assist, right? The ball's flung up to him in the European game and he's held onto the ball. He's run at defenders. I was shocked actually in a few of those games. Okay, maybe he was playing lesser opposition, some people might argue. But I was even impressed with like his pace in some games and his ability to run on in behind. He was dropping deep so that Maddison and other players could run over the top and balls could be played over. I thought that he played a crucial part of that game. His calmness in terms of the penalty he scored against Frankfurt, I thought was incredible. And I think just because he hasn't scored, 16 goals in all competitions is still decent. But I think he's definitely underrated by some of our fans. So I'm going to go with Dominic Solanke. Right, last one about awards. We're going to go for best young player of the season. So there's not an age limit.
That's easy, mate. That's easy. That's Bergvall.
I haven't got to the end of my story yet. Okay, yeah. Lucas Bergvall for you. Are you going for Wes?
The Swedish Luka Modric, Lucas Bergvall. Unbelievable. Yeah. I think as well, if we look at the turnaround in his season, because we were probably, but looking back now, hindsight is a wonderful thing. You could argue we were really critical of him after that Galatasaray Europa League game. And we were like, what on earth have we got here? He needs to go out on loan. Da, da, da. But the turnaround since that game has been absolutely phenomenal. And I think had he been fit, he starts that Europa League final. That says everything to me. And he's an unbelievable footballer. Like, it was getting to the stage, especially in like Premier League games where he was playing, it was like, give him the ball and he will sort it out for us. Like, he was that. Like, he took the responsibility upon himself to try and get us out of trouble. So yeah, Lucas Bergvall for me all day.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, wasn't it? Because he got dragged off because Dragusin got sent off in that European game, and then he gets dragged off like after 11 minutes, and you think, oh, this is poor lad. And then he got the ball in a few games and lost it in key areas, and you think, oh, is it going to really like work out for him? Is it a step too far? But he just grew and grew this season. Like, but it was me like between. And for other reasons, like between Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, I think Archie Gray, when he stepped into midfield this season, unfortunately hasn't like performed as well as I've wanted him to. But just his ability this season to come in and play centre back, to play right back, to play left back, whatever's been asked for him, he came in and he's done to a reasonable level. So I was going to give it to him, but I don't think you can look beyond Lucas Bergvall.
Can I just say David Clark's comment where he says, don't speak about him in Modric terms? I remember when Modric first signed, a lot of people would him out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Modric wasn't playing centre mid in the Premier League at 19 either.
No. Anyway, we'll go to some comments in a sec. But yeah, just as you said, Wes, like his ability to pick up the ball, drive up players, like he seemed like one of those that was willing at times when the game was a bit flat to just like get the ball, run up players. He scored a crucial goal, which didn't actually turn out to be that crucial, but against Liverpool, I thought that he was he did very much like Luka Modric does a lot of stuff that goes unseen on the pitch, which is crucial to the gameplay, and that's one thing that Luka Modric did a lot of, which is a lot that's unseen. But let's go through some of the people. Like Jay has said, it has to be Lucas Bergvall. I show you Shisha has said Sarr very underrated. Then we get to Mr. David Clark, who said, "Good young player with good future, but please don't speak about him in Modric terms. They are worlds apart."
Well, yeah, because one's 40 and the other one's 19. Of course, they're worlds apart. Modric is old enough to be his dad, for Christ's sake.
All right, mate, I'm nearly 40.
Bergvall with a great close second, playing out of position, this must be a laugh, but I'm going to read it out anyway. And Ozzy has said, "Give Ange the next 2 seasons. We are winning a Premier League or a Champions League with him. The man only knows how to win major honours. Next season, 5th place, FA Cup, and the Super Cup."
Well, listen, mate. Right, just like any good television series, season 3 is always better than season 2.
Come on, that was unreal. That goosebumps. That. Right, let's look, one last thing actually before we kind of finish up. Oh, thank you very much for subscribing. I see you, Shisha. Tell you what, you've been watching the whole fucking time. You only just subscribed. Go on, lad. No, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Right, one quick one. All I want is a number. I want you to rate this season out of 10, and everyone in the chat as well. Rate the season out of 10. Combination of that is I want you to have another quick answer, which is, which one would you rather? Finish 17th and win the Europa League, or finish 2nd and win fuck all? Let me know. So, Dave, what are you going for? Rate the season out of 10.
10.
10.
Got a European trophy, mate.
Go on, the boys.
We finished 17th and got a European trophy. We have had a season on par with Arsenal's, but we've got silverware. They've got nothing to show for it. And we're in the same position as them next season. So,
where's Averware with your mum? She got -5.
I think that must be the temperature of where she is at the moment because she's on holiday.
I thought 7 was going to be like a decent score, so I've gone for 7. But maybe I'm not being as kind. Wes, what are you going for?
The number that came into my head straight away was 6, and that's purely for winning the Europa League. The Premier League form has been that bad that my rating can only go for the European run, realistically. Like I say, the league form's been that bad. But then also, when I think about it, a League Cup semi-final as well in there. Yeah. And then, all right, difficult FA Cup, early exit there. So there's a lot of factors, I think, when you take into account. But yeah, 6 out of 10, I think. Being a European champion for a season, it's going to hit like crack next year when we're 4-0 down at the Emirates singing Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that.
Your mum said it must be the rum that's caused.
Yeah, definitely is.
I like that though. It's a good measurement in your parents' household. Your dad's gone for 10. Your mum's gone for -5. At some point, there's going to be a 5 there, isn't there?
Yeah.
We go on laws of averages, but Jay's also gone 5 out of 10. So you've gone 6. I've gone 7. There's a few 10s. I'm loving that. Martin Higgs has said 7 out of 10. Finished 17th at a trophy. I'm also going to finish 17th at a trophy every single season till the day that I die. Wes, what are you going for?
I'm going to say 17th in a trophy because when you look back on it in a few years' time, no one will actually remember the fact that we finished 17th, but will remember the fact we won the Europa League. Like, yeah, Arsenal keep finishing 2nd. I hope they don't do that with their partners and everything else. But yeah, finishing 2nd without any kind of thing to show for it. I think the sweetest thing is Arsenal now are becoming what they mocked us for under Poch, in the sense of being that nearly team, and that's quite ironic, really. So yeah, I think for me, finishing 17th with that trophy, because that's going to be etched in history for forever. Whereas the fact we finished 17th, yes, it's going to be there, but listen, next season people aren't going to be saying about the fact we finished 17th. They'll be saying, well, they won the Europa League. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, 17th. How many
times have you heard the phrase "top 4 is not a trophy"?
Well, it was for Arsenal.
Welcome to the big leagues, boys. Because Johnny said earlier on, what is it he said? Well done for winning the B trophy or something that you guys have been in lots of times and never won.
And you know what the best thing is as well, right? Is that Arsenal fans are trying to dismiss our run towards the Europa League final, yet half of the teams that we've played in our Europa League journey are in the Champions League next year.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Definitely, we've got another couple of tens in the chat, so people are a lot more, excited about the season than I thought they were going to be. So that's good. Dave, what are you going for? 17th and a trophy or second?
Obvious, mate. 17th and a trophy. I spent 4 days absolutely battered, mate. So it was great.
Right, last one before we finish up the show, everyone. What I want to know is like your honest personal opinion, like real short answer. Like where do you want Spurs to go from here in terms of the next season? Keeping Ange, not keeping Ange, and where's the most strongest place that we need to strengthen in the summer? But the short version. For me, like I said last week, they should be Daniel Levy should be on one knee to Ange Postecoglou saying, how can we keep this going? How can we give you what you need to keep this going next season? All he needs to do is look at that dressing room. All he needs to do, is look at how these players fought for him. I thought it was unbelievable what he did with playing clips of each. He got in touch with each person's family, got them to do clips, made it into a video, and played it to the players before the Europa League final. I think he's an unbelievable manager, and I think that you go out and you do what he's done. Okay, next season is where we need to see improvement in the league. We have to see improvement, otherwise, he can't continue in his job. But I think right now he has to be given what he wants. I think probably the most pressing position is going to be somewhere. I still think we are a bit light in midfield, and I think that we also need another left winger. They're my kind of priority positions. But Dave, what do you reckon we should do?
Keep Ange, give him what he wants. Simple as that. I was Ange out because of the league form, but like I said, when you analyse it after the season's finished and you look from December, we did kind of give up. Like I said, at times I was Ange out because of the league form, but that man is only the third ever person to win us a European trophy. The first man in 41 years to win us a European trophy. The first man in 17 years to get us over the line. Said it before, when Conte couldn't, Mourinho couldn't, Poch couldn't. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And he's essentially done it with what I think is one of the worst squads we've had in a long time. So you give that man a blank checkbook and let him do it in his the summer.
Perfect. And Wes?
I think Ange's probably deserved the opportunity to stay. I think he does need to be slightly careful, though. Me personally, if I was him, I would have gone, see you later, and given a big V sign to Daniel Levy for the way that I think Ange has been, for me, harshly treated in the sense of, I know Dave mentioned earlier about the stability of the club, and it's been put on Ange like you would not believe. And I think actually the way he's handled it on the whole, I think has been brilliant. I think he's stuck up for the club and the players in such a good way and he hasn't dug anybody out either. I think more often than not, he's got on with a job in hand. And I think in terms of like a person that you would want representing your club, like to go into like proper battle with, I don't think there's many out there that I would kind of want in my corner right now than Ange. I just think there's just something about him, but I think it's him as a person. I don't necessarily think it's him as a head coach or manager. There's just something about him that will get players playing for him. I don't want to.
I suppose it doesn't matter, right? Like the end result is winning of the games, right? So whether that's tactically outperforming an opponent or whether that's mentally outperforming an opponent,
Yeah, but I think he's sim. I don't think he's a massive like man manager, but I think he's one of them sort of motivators that can just tap into a player's psyche and get 10% extra. I think the biggest challenge isn't necessarily what we do in the summer, it's how we start next season. If we start next season in a really bad way, I'm talking near similar level to say Juan de Ramos when he started his that full season, if you like. If we start in the same way, he's off. because I think he's effectively a dead man walking, and he's on a hide into nothing, which is really unfortunate. So, but I think Ange thrives when he's the underdog, and it's like everything's against him, and he'll just pull something out. The Europa League, for a prime example, everything was stacked near enough against Tottenham. Going into it, our form going into it, dreadful. Everything else, everybody's saying it's like pretty much United's trophy. They've near enough won it already. Da, da, da. And yet he just pulls something out, like Dave said, with that tapping into the psyche of getting those players' families' videos, and the speech that he gave. I know it's going to come out in a bit more detail on club platforms soon, but it's just something about Ange that I think you, as a player, you'd want to go and play for him. And I think players do want to play for him. It doesn't look like they've lost belief or faith in him. So, yeah, for me, I think he's earned the right to do it and, have a crack at next season. But he has to start well. If he doesn't start well, he is bang in trouble.
Perfect, mate. And what a perfect place to spot to finish up, Mr. K.
Not quite finished yet, mate. I've got a quick announcement to make. Before we go any further. So obviously we've been running an FPL competition this season. Big shout out to first and foremost the 114th place player, Jay, bottom of the league, Jay Hilton, 1,681 points. But obviously there's prize money up for grabs, first, second, and third. Now the top player was actually a guy called Matt Pryor. A team called Sane signed up. 2,587 points. He pipped a guy called Wiki ES Blue Titani on the last day of the season to nick first place. And then Massa. So the top three were 2,587 points, 2,569, and 2,553. Usual rules apply for the competitions we run. You have to DM me or the pod, either one, preferably me, because this is where the money's coming from. DM me, proof that you're subscribed to the channel, proof that it's your team. You have 48 hours to DM me that information. If you fail to do that, it drops down. So second will become first will become second, and so on and so on and so on. I'm hoping we get to about 51st, which is where I am. But again, simple. You have to DM me or the pod with proof that you are subscribed to the channel, proof that it is your team. I don't want a screenshot. I want proof that it's actually your team. And then I'll arrange to get payment made after 48 hours on the Wednesday. But again, DM me, proof, and well done and congratulations to the top three.
Yeah, well done. I think we'll also put some information out on a tweet just so that we the names of the people after the show. So obviously look out for that as well. Congratulations to 74th place, which was myself. So I'm proud of that.
Where did he come?
Harry Scarf ended up ahead of all of us, which is.
Let's have a look. I'll tell you now. Can
I do a shout out for finishing 72nd after the absolute
Harry came 41st in the end. He did very, very well actually.
You finished ahead of me.
Well, yeah, and I gave everybody the first couple of months head start as well because I decided to play football manager instead of fantasy football.
Look, I finished well ahead of you, mate. I was 131 points ahead of you.
I know, but I gave everybody basically 6
ahead of
weeks
Luke.
off.
Ahead of Luke. 131 points ahead of Luke. Where did you come? 70 something.
72nd I came. That was some Ramatonda, let me tell you, because I was in the bottom. I was in the bottom echelons very early on, so the Ramatonda was huge. To finish top 100.
Well, I won our host league this year because Harry doesn't count, so that's all I'm saying.
Mate, you're just winning titles by default, aren't you?
I am.
The score predictor by default.
Dave's going to get a tattoo going. I always win things in my second season.
Exactly that, mate. But yeah, look out for the tweet for the winners. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm done.
Yeah, perfect. Look, thanks to everybody that's tuned in again this week. We're getting really good people that tune in every week. So thank you so much to that. Those that listen on podcast platforms as well. We don't forget about you guys, and also every single person that started following us on TikTok as well. We want to hit 1,000 TikTok followers by the start of the season. We're about 260 away, something like that. So, but we're gaining every day. So get sharing our TikTok out with everybody. And we do post clips every single day of the week. So come check us out, leave us a comment, and maybe we'll shout you out on next week's show. But once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week and all the way through the summer for more chat on Tottenham Hotspur. But until then, a massive come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!